Thank you, Nishta. Uh, it has been a long session. And if you really ask me, a lot has been said and most has. So I don't think I have very much to add from my side. But still, I will approach the issue from the other end of the story. Because we have been talking about the potential risks to the global safety, security, and stability. And most of the speakers have concentrated on what we generally call traditional sources of threats, which means the traditional security. And I also use the term called tangible. It's the tangible aspect of security, where we have much longer experience, knowledge. We can see those threats. We can feel those threats. We can literally touch those threats. But then there is other side of the story, which I call the intangible aspects of security, stability in the maritime and other spaces. And that end of the story is the environment in which we operate, because we are operating on these platforms, but these platforms basically constitute the environment. And environment is a major stakeholder in this discourse. So I thought, since other speakers have already spoken on behalf of the human society, so let me speak on behalf of environment. So I was looking at the latest report on economic development, global economic development. And the reasonable estimates are that in the next 24, 25 years, we aim to, and probably will do it, we will double the size of global economy, which means in the next 24, 25 years, we aim to, and I'm sure we will do it, we will add something about $105 trillion. Now, my question is, how shall we create additional economy assets with a of almost $105 trillion? For that, in fact, if I look back, we arrived at $105 trillion by doing a lot of things in agriculture, in manufacturing, in services, and all kinds of societal behavior. And when I look back, I see in creating these $105 trillion, the kind of damage we have done to the environment. We have damaged the land, water, air, biodiversity, you name it. Now, the issue is that if we are going to add another $105 trillion in the next 24 years, where do we get those inputs for creating that outcome? We will need energy, we'll need materials, we'll need technology, we'll need water, we'll need everything. And so far, a record of that everything getting from the environment has not been an example. Land is completely exhausted. And I hear everyone saying that, okay, let's go to the sea now. Can we get those additional resources from sea? Be it food, be it minerals, be it energy, be it transport, be it recreation, be it biotechnological resources. Now, we all know sea is 2/3 of this planet. And obviously, we can expect from sea those additional resources. But the issue is, when we go to the sea says, sorry, I am also badly damaged by the already human activity in the sea ocean space. They are suffering pollution, they are suffering acidification, they are suffering temperature rise, and they are suffering loss of biodiversity. Now, how would the sea provide those additional resources that we need for adding $105 trillion? I'm sure if we do the things the way we have done, they would not be able to. Now, what different pathway we have to take so that we are able to harness ocean for additional resources, but we do not cause further damage to the ocean environment? Because today, when we talk about existential threats, the top in that list is the climate change, the global warming. Every day I read a statement or a speech which includes a reference to global warming as the number one systemic threat, and people are using the term existential threat. Now, we are all trying our best to make sure that that day doesn't arrive. And if we have to go to the ocean, we have to see what contribution the ocean does in helping stabilize climate. Because from my viewpoint, the climate change, if it is an existential threat, it should be top of our consideration for security and stability. Because this this outcome of climate change would literally impact everything. I, as a blue economy expert, cannot see any other threat which could be as comprehensive as climate change or global warming. Now the issue is, why such conflicts arise? The conflicts arise when the stakeholders are not able to understand each other. The stakeholders are not able to generate sufficient trust. And the same thing is happening with the environment. We don't understand the environment fully and comprehensively. As a result, there is lack of trust between the human activity and the environmental behavior. Now, coming back to the ocean, because today's emphasis and focus is oceans. Now, understanding the oceans. Now, the question is, we should ask this question, do we really understand the ocean? How much of the ocean we really can claim to understand? We barely understand the surface of the ocean. And in terms of the climate change or global warming, most of the actions are happening underwater. If you barely know the surface of the sea, I can tell you we really don't know anything about undersea. The only thing we know about undersea is also from the viewpoint of the hardcore warfare. What about the core environmental issue? What about the physics of that water, chemistry of that water, and biology of that water? That part is not understood at all. And that is what is resulting in the problem of disturbance in the climate, because oceans are the single biggest climate stabilizer. Be it the absorption of carbon dioxide, which is the main villain in global warming, be it the production of oxygen, be it the hosting of the biodiversity, you name it, be it the weather control, water cycle, and all that stuff. And that is where, in fact, our understanding of the underwater domain is absolutely essential if we want to avoid reaching that stage of systemic risk of climate change. And therefore, I look at the UDA, underwater domain awareness, not from purely the traditional security aspect, but from the intangible security aspects, which in my view are more dangerous, more comprehensive, and that is why we call these are the existential threats. And most of those implications are also irreversible, because these are not man-made implications, because then you understand the dynamics, why we arrived at a crisis point. And reverse engineering of that is easier. But underwater environmental system, we simply do not fully understand. Therefore, those changes, in my view, would be irreversible. So therefore, the best course available to us is avoid arriving at that situation of crisis. Because going back will be very difficult. Because those are the pathways which we will not determine. Those pathways will be determined by the environment, which we do not understand. That is where, in fact, I place emphasis on UDA. Arnab's organization and many other organizations have started working on that. The idea is to understand the chemistry, physics, and biology and other aspects of underwater, and then developing what is called the markers for what is happening in underwater. For example, if a damage is taking place, can we have an easier marker to understand, yes, the damage is happening, and then are there those red lines which we should not cross? So that is where I look at UDA, and that is where under the organization and many more are working. I hope before it's too late, we would have much better understanding of the underwater domain awareness, and then using that mega data with the help of the latest tools of artificial intelligence and data analysis, we would be able to develop models which should be expandable, which should be scalable in helping us prevent crossing those thresholds of environmental damage underwater. So with these words, I'll stop because I know a lot has been already spoken about underwater. If there are any questions at the end, then of course we will deal with them. I have, I think, 3 speakers in this panel. And as the previous panel started sequentially as per the program, I will do the same. So maybe about 15 minutes each. First, I will invite Captain Charles Marx. You have used the expression Chuck for you, which is, I'm sure, a very affectionate expression to invite you. So Chuck, the floor is yours, and you please take your 15 minutes. Thank you so much.